From LALATE News Headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings, LALATE.
Good morning. It's a wonderful early morning here on LALATE with an update about your fourth stimulus check of 2021. In this update about the fourth stimulus check, you're going to learn how much, when, and where, and the incredible big news that came Friday and the great news that's coming tomorrow. The push is underway. 2 bills, 2 months, 2 steps to get it to the finish line by July and out the door. I'll go over all those steps and why the president gave the big push for it on Friday and what he actually said. Then we'll cut to the other data that's coming out tomorrow that could also make the big push even easier. And there's big money coming back for you. Yes, so states are ordered to return money to you, and I'll go over the incredible great details about that. The federal government is returning money to you. Wonderful news about that. And then I'll go over to fifth stimulus, the big money this fall, why the president made a big push for that as well this last Friday, and what could be happening with it this week as well. Incredible great news, and I have a preview of corporate earnings that signals whether fourth stimulus is coming out sooner than later in this recording as well. It's a great morning, it's an early morning, and this is LALATE. To Sunday, ready to crush the last day of the weekend. Well, congratulations. Happy Mother's Day. Hope you're having a wonderful day. The toast is toasting, the butter is buttering, the coffee is brewing, and the chocolate and roses are being delivered. So happy Mother's Day to all of you, to your families, and thank you for becoming part of this family. If you haven't, then subscribe today. Give a Mother's Day subscribe to this channel to be part of the kindest and nicest group of people they are online. This is 24 hours. This is LALATE, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the only financial news channel of its kind. And in this recording, we're going to go over all the 4 stimulus checks, the 5th stimulus, the money coming this week, and the other items you've been asking about. And let's get to them right now. 4th stimulus got a major push from the President of the United States on Friday because he came out and said, let's do the 4th stimulus package right now. And guess what? It's incredible great news because they got to do it right now. 2 bills, 2 steps, 2 months. This is the month to start it, and the month to end it is in the month of July. 4th stimulus is the biggest single payout you've ever seen in the history of this channel. It's a monthly stimulus check that comes every month. Let's go over the House versus Senate plan. The House plan provides more checks, but of smaller amounts over longer durations. So they provide that the first check would be $2,000 the initial month, and then $1,000 every month thereafter. The Senate plan, however, provides less checks, but of larger values. So let's compare. House plan will provide stimulus checks for the remainder of the pandemic, plus 1 year thereafter. So let's say there's 4 more months. 4 months plus 12 is 16 months of checks. Senate plan only goes to the end of December. So let's compare how much different the money is. So the first month would be $2,000 for the House, $1,000 thereafter. The Senate amount is unknown, but word on the street is a lot bigger than the House plan. Word on the street is it's this: either $2,000 a month over 6 months, $12,000, or $1,400 over 6 months, $8,400. Who gets it? You do. Who is the eligibility issue at hand? You get it. So if you got third stimulus, you would get this one. If you make less than $75,000 a year, you would get this one. Married couple, $150,000 or less, you get this one. Just double it. SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, you would get it. When would you get it? Month of July, for the month of July. August, for the month of August. When would be the vote? In July. These are all representations by leaders of Congress, not mine, theirs. When would this count as income? No, it would not count as income. Would the children and the adult dependents get the same amount of check? Absolutely. Household 4 or less, 4 times a check. Married couple, double the amount of check. There you go. Easy breezy to understand. Which one do you prefer now? House or Senate? Drop in the comments if you're watching this live. House or Senate? Do you prefer do you prefer smaller checks over a longer duration or bigger checks over a shorter duration? Here is what viewers have been saying. Shorter checks with bigger amounts over less checks of bigger amounts over a shorter duration gets them caught up on their bills, rather than giving smaller amounts of checks over a longer duration gets them still behind and they can't get caught up. Well, guess what? The president came out on Friday and said, get it done. He said it in the context of the jobs number that was released on Friday. And that jobs number has a lot of implications to it, which I'm not going to get to just yet. But the president of the United States said, pass the fourth stimulus right now. This is incredible great news, because fourth stimulus provides you the relief that you need. These monthly stimulus checks will be an add-on by Democratic leaders in the Senate. They write the bill, not the president. He doesn't define the legislation. They do. He wants roads and infrastructure and things like that in there, but they add the stimulus checks in there. He doesn't write the bills. They do. The adding in there is during the 2-month process. And one of the things that I made a little bit more clear yesterday that haven't been made clear in the recent days is, when are they starting the recon? I've gotten a lot of that questions. Why are they waiting to start the recon? Let me make that subject matter clear right now. They have started the recon. I think what people think is they have to make an announcement that they started the recon, and that everyone has to get like an assignment, or the president has to make an announcement. We've started the recon. They have started the recon. They have been working on drafting legislative parts of the bill in the subcommittees. So to say that they've not started recon, not true. They have started recon. When would you physically see the results of the recon? Well, it's a 2-step process, 2 months, 2 bills, but the very big vote would be first the recon procedural bill and then the recon substantive bill, which wouldn't go to a final vote until July. So there you go. Fourth stimulus heats up, and guess what? It's going to heat up this coming week, because guess what's happening this week? This week, the Consumer Price Index, the CPI, is released, and that CPI index number has been detailed before on this channel. It's a very important number. You get the CPI every month, and then they get the PPI number. Why do I go over numbers like that? Because of this. You want the stimulus checks to go out before there's economic rebounding, completing this economic recovery, or before the jobs are restored to this economy. Now, on Friday, we saw that jobs are not restored. But ultimately, we as viewers have to track what else is going on in this economy to understand, is the recovery going to be so robust and so near to completion by the time they vote on this that we need to be of concern? We don't know, so we have to watch that. The Consumer Price Index number will be released this coming week, and it's ahead of, it's just after we got that April jobs report on Friday. So it's like a double whammy. It's all about the inflation numbers. It's about the transitory nature and to what extent we'll see it, says Paul Brockahere, Chief Investment Officer at Bleakley Advisory Group, in a new statement obtained by LALATE today. It's more relevant to the CPI month-over-month change. It's not necessarily how long is the situation. I think one thing that people are overlooking is that the technology selling in the last few days is the reaction to the adverse earnings reaction we see for certain tech names. More about that in a second. So what they're basically saying is that going into, I just went out of focus. Here I am. I think what they're saying is that going into this CPI number coming out this week, which is for the month of April, they're looking to see how this CPI number, how robust will it be. Now, remember, when considering stimulus checks, there is 2 numbers that define them, the outcome of them: the weekly jobs number and the monthly jobs number. We just got the monthly jobs number last Friday. It showed that there were jobs available and that people were not taking the jobs. There were more jobs than people. They weren't taking the jobs. Now, why that's a situation, that's a whole other video. But the fact that that number came in, that jobs number came as it did, it signals that we need stimulus checks. The only number which signal that we don't need stimulus checks is that jobs are restored. That of 8 million jobs missing in the economy, they are restored. That the unemployment rate has dropped significantly to pre-pandemic levels. In fact, the unemployment number on Friday got worse. And ironically, on Friday, we also heard from leading economists that what they saw was, in some cases, that people were not staying home because of FPUC and refusing to go to work or take new jobs, rather the reverse. And I heard it from viewers, and I have been telling you what's going on. that people actually had jobs throughout this pandemic, and that these people who had jobs just got laid off because their businesses went under, because the businesses were not getting federal assistance and they couldn't survive anymore. I was detailing in the month of February that 22% of American small and medium-sized businesses were being shut down. So ultimately, you see how forced stimulus is getting to the finish line because the economy is not rebounded. We are not in a trajectory where we'll be fully recovered by July in 60 days. It's not happening, folks. We know it. And so with that, forced stimulus is happening, folks. There's nothing at the moment in the universe of the Democratic leadership that we see that is not being done. And one of the messages I was not able to really deliver much between Friday and Saturday, because that jobs number story was just such a big story. It just it ate up everything else that we're talking about, was the great news that came on Thursday. That great news on Thursday was this. You know, as watching this channel, that there was only one potential issue that would derail forced stimulus besides the economy recovering too quickly, which is not happening now. The corporate tax rate proposed by the president. And on Thursday, in a just sort of a small little bleep of a moment, there was a story that I ran on this channel that I said, hey, you got the deal done. The president came out and said, I will back off, step down from my corporate tax rate proposal of 28%. I'll come down lower to what the moderate Democrats want of 25%. Wow, can we just sigh? Can we just sigh of relief? And it was so unfortunate that I dropped that story after reporting initially because the job story was so big on Friday that I should have just kept on repeating how big that story was. Ultimately, the president's only speaking to the Democrats because they are doing the recon. You're not getting Mitch to agree to you because he ain't going to agree to you. You're not appeasing to Mitt Romney. This is for Democrats and only for Democrats. They're doing the recon. 2 bills, 2 months, two steps. And then ultimately, if you can make a deal with your fellow party members who maybe were getting cold feet, that's the deal. Incredible great news across the board. Now, let's go to the other incredible great news across the board. The federal government has now announced that it's returning money back to you, and it's incredible great news. It's ordering the states to return money back to you. So let me go over all those details as well. You know, before I start this, I've had a lot of questions for people about states giving them money. And I'm going to first do this one, but I want to make all these state questions clarified because I think people are hearing wrong reports on other YouTube channels, coming here and then getting a little bit clarification, but still a little bit baffled. First one, Marty Walsh, head of the Department of Labor, on Thursday announced that you are getting thousands of dollars back from your states in some cases. What's going on? In some cases, Department of Unemployment in some states paid people money that was an overpayment at the error of a computer glitch at the Department of Unemployment. And then they reached out to recipients and said, hi, we overpaid you by a computer glitch in the Department of Unemployment, not your fault, our mistake, our computers, please return the money. You return the money. Marty Walsh came out and said, no, the federal government is ordering the states to return the money to you. They had no right to take the money back from you. This is thousands of dollars in some cases for some people, and it's incredible great news. So if you were the recipient of overpayments of unemployment from your state that they said was a mistake at their error, and that you had to return it, and you did return it, you're getting that money back. That's the first one. The second one is also the big, incredible, great news is that this coming week, starting tomorrow, money's coming back from the federal government for that $10,200 of taxes on the taxes you paid on the $10,200. Now, I've been reporting this for a few days, but I want to slow this down so people understand the difference between the federal government, which is IRS, and your state government, because I'm seeing people questions about states giving you money. So I want you to understand the situation. For people who filed a 2020 federal tax return already and paid taxes on your first $10,200 of unemployment to the federal government is returning the taxes that you paid on that unemployment to the federal government. See how many times I mentioned the word federal government in that sentence? It has nothing to do with the state. It is just you and what you did on your tax return with the federal government. So, for example, let's say you filed a 2020 federal tax return. You had $10,000 of unemployment assistance. You paid a total tax bill of $8,000, of which $4,000 was for unemployment assistance. Guess what? You're getting a $4,000 check back. And it's coming from IRS this week if you are a single filer, which means you're the only name on the tax return. If you're husband and wife, you're a joint filer or anything like that, it's coming later this week in LA this month in what's called Phase 2. So that is the returning of the money from the federal government for the $10,200. There's another group. If you took out for federal taxes every week when you got your unemployment, the federal government will return that money to you if you request it on a tax return. I've had a lot of people, no matter how many videos I make, that say, when is the federal government returning my money? They're not returning you anything if you don't file a 2020 tax return and request it back. You had to have taken out for federal taxes, not filed that 2020 return. Now you're going to have to file the 2020 return and say, hi, I took out for federal taxes, return the money back. All right, now let me go over to another question that some viewers are asking. I took out I took out for state taxes for my unemployment when I get in it. When is the state returning me money? Never. That's not the law. The law has nothing to do with the states. The law has nothing to do with the states. It's only your federal taxes, not the states. So the states are not paying you any money ever because that was not the law. Finally, is anyone getting $10,200? No. And a YouTuber is making that video still to this day. It just shocks me. And it's getting, 90,000 views with 17,000 likes. Yeah, God bless you. Thank you for giving me $10,000. And then they go in their bank accounts. They're like, where's the $10,000? He just told me I'm getting $10,000. There is no $10,200 coming back to you. That's basically saying that you're getting all your unemployment back to you again. You get $10,000 of unemployment, and then we're going to give it back to you again. No, that's not what the law says. We're returning the taxes you paid on the $10,200. So if you paid $1,000, we're returning $1,000. If you paid $2,000, then we're returning the $2,000. There we go. Also, let's turn to the other incredible money that's coming this week. Well, not this week, but that you need to set up this week. It's the children's money. The children's money. If you have children, you need to get that 2020 tax return on file if one of three events have occurred and that child is 17 and newborn. Remember, 17 and newborns are getting either $300 a month or $250 a month starting the month of July if two events have occurred. One, you make less than $75,000, but it phases out at about $100. Or two, and two, that the IRS knows about that child. It's the second one that I'm worried about. There are now 3 or 4 scenarios I've identified where you absolutely positively need to file the tax return on time, now, next week. And I don't mean ask for an extension, I mean now. So let me go over the situations. 1, you have a child, you have never filed a tax return. They ain't gonna know that child exists. They do not do mental telepathy. So you need to file that tax return right away. 2020 tax return, file it, list that child as a dependent. Number 2, you always file tax returns and you, for some reason, aren't listing the child. You need to file the tax return. List the child. Number 3, you made a lot of money in your last tax return, your prior tax return, that would not make you eligible for this credit. You made $200,000. You're not eligible for this. It's too much money. You made too much money. But guess what? In 2020, you took a bath and you did not make much money at all. You made such a low amount of money, you're now eligible for this assistance. You need to get that 2020 tax return on file. So those are the scenarios I have identified. They may have been more. I've had a lot of people ask me, well, I don't file tax returns. I did the non-filer filing tool. I've gotten all my stimulus checks for my kids. Am I fine? Ultimately, it's a risk tolerance situation. Would you risk not getting $3,600 because you don't want to file a tax return? I would just get the tax return on file. And remember, the tax return is due in a few days, personal tax return. And after that, you cannot come in in the month of July and say, hi, I need to fix something. Not going to work. There's a lot of fixing going on. And let me, I don't mean chicken. There's a lot of fixing going on. And let me go over everything you need to fix if you're going to a tax preparer in the next few days. First, see if there's any stimulus checks are missing and that you're eligible for. First, second, third. And if you're filing if there are people in the household, there's 4 people in the household, make sure you got all those listed on your notes to tell the tax preparer. My grandma is a dependent. She didn't get her check. Make that list. Second, if you withdrew for federal taxes when getting your unemployment in 2020, tell the tax preparer that, and then file those children. And then anything else that you hear in the subject of this channel, then ultimately you need to get that ready to go. And there we are. I'll be back in 60 seconds with more about this. But first, here's a little bit about the community page, the money you can get for rent, grants, and more. I'll be back in 60 seconds. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues in just a little bit on Mornings LALATE. Bring your mom in. Let's have a big Mother's Day broadcast together. Mornings LALATE is in just a little bit. I'd love to have all the moms in the chat, in the live chat. That's a live show. And then at 12 noon on the West Coast, 11 o'clock on the West Coast, 2 p.m. on the East Coast is Noontime LALATE. That's been a big, real hit show lately. And then we go into Afternoons LALATE, which may or may not broadcast today. It did not broadcast yesterday because of the weekend. And then we go into our evening set of programming thereafter. A new show at 6 p.m., then 8 p.m., and then 10 p.m. How are you? Good morning. It's Sunday morning. Happy Mother's Day. Thank you for joining me. The toast is toasting, the butter is buttering, and I'm now back in focus. I was going to that focus. And what a day it is. I'd love to have you part of this family, so make sure you subscribe. Fastest growing, only financial news channel, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. What a day it is. If you've not liked this video, please do. It really helps in the algorithm rankings. And consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Casino VIP. The link's at the top of the chat in the pinned comment. So, yes, also this week landing, again, is more money for rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, and also homeowners assistance. So go get it. You saw in the commercial break, the volunteers, if you can't find it at your city, county, state, city hall, a city housing authority, county housing authority, or state housing authority, then reach out to the volunteers to get it. In addition to the fourth stimulus package is the fifth stimulus package, which on Friday, the president gave an incredible push for. I'll be getting to that SSI and SSDI reform in a second and all the details, but it's important to understand that fourth stimulus is also heating up because of this week's jobs numbers and this week's Q1 earnings reports. On Monday, Tyson Foods, Marriott, and Simon Properties report corporate earnings. More about them in a second. Then on Tuesday, Vizio reports earnings. On Wednesday, it's I think they do that on purpose. On Wednesday, Wendy's is reporting earnings. I almost said on Wednesday. Wednesday's reporting earnings. And then Bumble. will bumble it up for me. I'll bumble it up, and then Thursday we DoorDash it with Disney and Alibaba. More about that fun in just a second. But let's cut to the fifth stimulus. The fifth stimulus will add SSI and STI reform. How does this work? So they would increase your benefit levels, increase asset limits, add an inflationary benchmark, then remove the income exclusion, and remove the marriage penalty. Let me explain how that works, and let me get to the details right now. So fifth stimulus works procedurally the same way as fourth stimulus. 2 bills, 2 months, 2 steps. Instead of the add-on being stimulus checks, this time it's SSI reform. And with that SSI reform, what is it? First, they're going to take all of your benefits and raise it up to a big new number. That big new number would be your new number going forward. Who is you? SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, Social Security survivor benefits, all of you up to a new number. That's what they're representing. Then they're going to add in a new benchmark, inflation. So inflation is expected to go up 2 to 4% over the next few years, compared to COLA, which has not gone anywhere for a long time. Then they're going to remove the asset cap. The asset cap dates back to a 1980s law that says you cannot hold more than about $3,000 on hand for some of you individually. They're going to get rid of that just in time for you to get those stimulus checks in your bank account and keep them there. Then they're going to remove the income exclusion, which says that you can't work and still stay on benefits. It's a 1960s law. I mean, it's older than me, for God's sake. They're going to remove that law and allow you to go work. So $1,000, $2,000 a month, you can do that, and they'll allow you to keep it on hand. And finally, they're going to remove the marriage penalty so you can marry me. No, it sounds like a sirloin line. They'll remove the marriage penalty so that you can go get married and not suffer the marriage penalty. And if you're currently suffering from the marriage penalty, it would be removed. Now, the great element of this is that this is a 2-step, 2-bill, 2-month process. So you would likely see this impact your bank account around about November. Now, fifth stimulus got a push from the president as well on Friday. He said, just go do it now. This is the reason you got to go do it. And yeah, you've heard me go through the rest of the analysis of what else he said, and it was all incorrect. I'm not going to go back over that because it's incorrect. But here's what you do need to know, is that fifth stimulus has some provisions in there that ultimately do help a lot of viewers. If you remember this channel, you have the details of it. It's in the daily PDF list. It's at the top. It's not in paper form because the White House didn't put it in paper form. The environment. So I have it in text form for you. And some of the items in there are incredible. There is a lot of stuff for single people. There's a lot of stuff there's one item for hazard pay, which I've gone over a couple times. There's money for seniors as well. So there is a lot of good items across the board. What you need to know is that this coming week, we're going to see the money going out for the tax refund of the unemployment. We're going to see the money for the rent, the utilities, the food, the internet. This is all third stimulus. And the homeowners assistance, go get it. We may see the $5,000 EIDL grant. I don't know where it is. I'm of belief that it's never going to appear. That's sort of where I am, not to be pessimistic, but at the moment I'm thinking that's where it is. We may start to hear some people getting funded for the shutter venue grant and restaurant grant from SBA. And then we're going to perhaps start to see more of the workings on the bill provisions of the fourth stimulus. Remember who gets it. You get if you make less than $75,000, household of 4 or less, and SSI and SSDI. Now, what is also important is what's going to come out for financial data, because you saw that the President of the United States, his press secretary, and others literally had 3 press conferences based upon Friday's jobs number. The reason why I go over this economic data with you ahead of time is for exactly what happened. I told you the number defines your fourth stimulus, and I told you that advance of the fourth of that economic number, the jobs number released on Friday, that it could signal the push or push back for fourth stimulus. As soon as it was announced, the White House had no less than 3 press conferences about it. So it's important to know that this coming week we have a less significant number, but still important, the CPI. And the Consumer Price Index number will be very critical. But we also have corporate earnings, which the White House does refer to, because Janet Yellen used to be a at the Fed. Tyson reports on Monday, followed by Marriott. Jim Cramer said, "We hear from Marriott International. I'd like to see if their bookings look like. This morning, Expedia told us that the pleasure trips are filling up hotels, but business excursions have not come back." I've heard that as well. That that leisure travel is coming back, but business travel categorically has not come back. Vizio, which of course makes TV screens. I wonder if it's not. It's not the TV screen here. Vizio, which reports on Tuesday, prompted Cramer to say, "I often think of Vizio in tandem with Red Hot Roku. I say it's at least worth listening to get another view of the situation, but I hesitate to recommend it." Ooh, not good. And then what about Wednesdays with Wednesdays? Kramer says, "I have a nasty habit of going down on earnings. They rally later on. As much as I like it, I think you're probably going to want to see the quarter before you pull the trigger." So he's not very happy on this. But as to Bumble, which is on the mindset of a Match group, the dating website, he says, "Match reported an amazing quarter this week, so I have to think that this online dating competitor Bumble will do well as well." And then finally, DoorDash and Alibaba and Disney on Thursday. Thursday is really a big day. Alibaba should have some excellent numbers, Kramer says, of Disney. He says, "Of all these, I think Disney's got the best story going forward. I'd like to be a buyer." Projected EPS coming in at 27 cents on Thursday. We'll watch that number. And then DoorDash. Kramer says, "I think it could make good money now, but not great money because so many people want to dine in because they're vaccinated." And so as a restaurant owner, he thinks that DoorDash may pull back a little bit. I agree with him on that one. I think Alibaba's going to have a great number. Let's see that. So if you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Also, like this video. Happy Mother's Day. I'm so glad you tuned in. If you watching the show taped, don't worry. Well, of course it's taped. If you're watching this tape, you're fine because it is taped. But if you want to tune in to me live, then join me at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. And if there are any mothers in the room, I'll give you a happy Mother's Day shout out to the extent I can see you. And with that, have a beautiful Mother's Day. Stay safe. Always subscribe. Like this video, 2,000-3,000 likes. And if you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Casino VIP. Stay informed, stay focused, and always keep smiling. Every day is Mother's Day. Every day should be a positive day for you. And every day should be here with LALATE.